November 15th will, of course, be a very interesting fight, as it will be Jake Paul, the problem child, taking on Iron Mike Tyson. Now, of course, a lot of people have mixed feelings for this fight, of course. Obviously, Mike Tyson is probably not in his prime anymore. But besides that fight, there are actually quite a bit of amazing fights. Now, of course, we won't be talking about all of them, but on the undercard, there will be Bruce Carrington, Lucas Body, who was supposed to fight Corey Marksman, but he pulled out, I think, due to an injury, probably for the best. Shadesha Green attempting to capture another world title after her loss, trying to claim the WBO Super Middleweight Championship. But essentially, the main undercard is Niraj Goyat versus Whindersson Nunes, which, although we won't be talking too in depth on it, we do have quite a bit of words for that. Mario Barrios defending his fully elevated WBC welterweight title against Abel Ramos. That is probably, I guess you could say, a sleeper fight, people would say. You know, it could steal the show. But we do have the highly anticipated rematch between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano for the undisputed super lightweight titles. Very much for a great night of boxing. Why is it on a Friday? Well, I mean, the last one was postponed, so I assume they couldn't get the venue anymore, so they might as well go on a Friday. But Whindersson Nunes is 0-0. Yeah, he is making his professional debut, but he has fought before. He has fought on the Kingpin tournament. He has beaten someone. I forgot who he beat because it's not listed here. But he did lose his Misfits debut against Nathan Bartling, or my mate Nate, which he shouldn't be too ashamed of. I mean, he did have the most experience out of the Misfits fighters. But he will be taking on a very interesting guy. I think the newest addition to the MVP roster, Niraj Goyat, who was actually inactive. The last time he fought was back in 2023 against a 4-2 fighter. Knockout in round 2. But of course, he is 18-4 with 2 draws. Of course, all his losses have come by decision. His first loss came actually at his debut, and then 2 more draws, and then another loss. So safe to assume he kind of did not start his career on the right foot. But besides that, he has only lost, besides that, to Sergio Daniel Moreno Martiz, which isn't a good loss because it was his debut. Now, of course, where did he go after that? That is a very interesting question. He later went 3-5, and he also did not lose to great opposition. But his latest loss, unanimous decision, was against Jose Zapata. Unfortunately, another not good loss because he lost basically every round. But he will be fighting a debut fighter who he himself has like 0 amateur experience. Oh, technically he does because he fought in the Kingpin tournament. He's only lost to King Kenny and my mate Nate. The one thing he essentially has over Goyat is the fact that Nunes fights heavy. So I don't know what weight class they're fighting in. I don't think they've ever specified. But he will be fighting a heavier fighter. Now, although I did say we weren't going to spend too much time on it, it's a weird fight. But the thing is, it was postponed. And not only was it postponed, Nunes still wanted to fight. So, hats off to him. He wanted to fight a professional boxer but then it is the biggest stage, essentially, of his career. So why not? It's more like a gimmick fight more than anything. But it would be an interesting one. But besides that, the next one is, of course, Mario Barrios defending his, I'm pretty sure, elevated WBC welterweight title, as Terrence Crawford, I'm pretty sure he no longer holds any belts at welterweight, against Abel Ramos. Now, of course, Mario Barrios is coming off of the fight against Fabian Maidana, which I did believe Maidana was not going to do too well. He did really well. He did extremely well against Mario Barrios. And that's not a good look considering he's fighting Abel Ramos. Speaking of Abel Ramos, Ramos is 28-6-2. 22 wins by way of knockout, 1 loss by way of knockout. Known for his power, but of course has lost quite a bit of time. So let's talk about it. His actual 2 draws all came very early on in his career against some pretty good fighters. A 12-0 Maurice Hooker and 11-1 Levon Sorry, I can't pronounce his last name. But his first loss, and that was his stoppage loss, was against Regis Progress, as everyone knows, is the two-time world champion. At some point in the career, was the second best 140 pounder out there. Now, of course, not the best, but what are you gonna do? He's then been hovering around super lightweight and welterweight, but his next loss was against Ivan Baranchik. I think everyone knows about him. Had that absolutely monstrous fight against Jose Zepeda. Of course, was the IBF title holder. Jamal James, another good fighter there. Majority decision. Split decision against your Dennis Ugas. That's right. That's a common opponent, by the way. And then Luke Santamaria. Don't worry about that. His brother came back and avenged him. That's okay. He then lost majority decision to Cody Crowley. That's probably going to be the fight that we're going to talk about the most, since that's the one I actually watched from beginning to end. But he is coming off of the TKO win against Ramon Guzman. Fifth round stoppage. Now, of course, that Cody Crowley fight, he did lose. It was a competitive fight to some degree, because Cody Crowley, let's just say, he does not give you any space at all to operate. But when Ramos did get that space, let's just say he, supposedly knocked Crowley down. They did the whole 10 count stuff. Later to find out he never touched the floor. All I'm saying is maybe that 10 count kind of saved Crowley a little bit, because if that wasn't counted, I don't think Crowley would have made it out the round. But besides that, the champion, Mario Barrios, 29-2, 18 wins by way of knockout, 1 loss by way of knockout. And now, of course, everyone knows his losses back-to-back against Gervonta Tank Davis, which was in the 11th round, and he was essentially not winning the fight, actually. That's, bruh. He wasn't even going to win the fight in decision. What? But anyways, later turns out Mario Barrios was weight drained, so that's something. But he wasn't weight drained against his next loss against Keith the one-time Thurman. He lost pretty badly. But he has rebounded, beating Yordenis Ugas for the interim title and defending it against Fabian Maidana. Then getting elevated. Now, of course, the Maidana fight, it showed a little bit of Mario Barrios' weakness. Not a little bit, a lot of it. This dude is, everyone already knew he was easily hittable, but it was against top opposition like Tank and Thurman. No offense to Fabian Maidana, but no one really saw him as an elite fighter. And he was absolutely beating the hell out of Mario Barrios at times. Now, of course, he kind of spent most times on movement and defending himself, which probably costed him the fight. But at the same time, who knows? Maybe that was the best strategy, and that was the closest way that he won, right? But this fight will be interesting, as Mario Barrios has a pretty good chance of losing to Abel Ramos. Because Mario Barrios, let's just say, will be hit a lot. His defense is not the best. His offense is pretty good, especially in welterweight. But that was against a extremely washed Yordenis Ugas and Fabian Maidana. Yeah. But Ramos, unfortunately, there's 6 losses. So let's just say Mario Barrios has a lot more tapes on how to beat Abel Ramos than he has of Mario Barrios. But of course, the way it's going to go out is, I did say he has a good chance of losing, but I don't think so. Because Ramos is not old. Not at all. And he's quite literally basically only lost to top opposition or former champions, which of course is top opposition. Especially because Mario Barrios has pressure like Crowley, but he gives space. He needs his space to operate, which is bad news because Ramos, you will probably clip him a couple times. This will be a great fight. Great fight. It's going to go decision, though. Mario Barrios has some pop. He has some pop, especially his weird combinations. He has very unique combinations, and I like it. I like the way he fights. And Ramos has power. The difference is both of them are durable. So it's going to go decision. But who's going to win the decision? Unfortunately, I do think Mario Barrios is going to win. Only because he's going to be slightly more active than Ramos. I do think Ramos will land the biggest punches of the fight. Barrios would just be too active and win enough rounds to win the fight. And successfully defend his WBC belt. Now, of course, you should probably watch out, because we might see a Karen versus Boots 3, because Karen could go the route of WBC, and I would actually favor Karen beating Mario Barrios. Just saying. But besides that, I got Mario Barrios by decision. I don't think really much anyone's... Well, actually, you never know. Some people might be picking Ramos. But besides that, the essential main show, even though it's the co-main event, is Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, the rematch for the super lightweight undisputed titles. And of course, Serrano is 47-2 and 1, 31 wins by way of knockout. Of course, one of her losses, of course, was against Katie Taylor. She did lose for the undisputed lightweight titles, which is something we'll talk about. But it was split decision, and many people believed, including myself, Serrano should have got the nod. But oh well. Her last loss was back in 2012 against the 10-0 Frida Wahlberg for the WBC Super Featherweight World Title. So quite a bit of time. But of course, she will be facing Katie Taylor, who is no longer undefeated anymore. She is 23-1, 6 wins by way of knockout. Her one loss came against Chantel Cameron for the undisputed super lightweight world titles. Of course, she later beat Cameron via majority decision in the rematch. Now, of course, Taylor, I think that was a fight where she was dropped, but they didn't count it. And that actually would have probably got Cameron the win again. So, safe to assume she's not the illegitimate super lightweight title holders, but there was quite a bit of controversy. Not too much. No one really talked about it, but that knockdown would have helped a lot. But besides that, they have fought before. But the main thing is the fact that they're actually both old. I thought Katie Taylor was younger than Serrano. No, she's actually older. But this will be super lightweight, which is of course benefits Taylor. She assumes the naturally bigger woman. But Serrano, let's just say, was kind of whooping Taylor for majority of the fight. And at some point, people were looking at her. People were like, I think she's out of it. I think she was legitimately out on her feet. And then she somehow recovered. That's the thing. She recovers pretty well. She, loses, the first half of the fight, against top opposition. But, the second half, she just randomly just starts throwing her fists and they start landing. So, I don't know how the hell that works, but it just works. You can't deny success. But besides that, I guess you could say that the extra weight could help Serrano land even bigger punches. Because Serrano is coming off of the first stoppage win since a long time. She's been in knockout drought since 2021, but she did get it against the 14-1 Stevie Morgan. But I do believe, although it is super lightweight, which would technically benefit Taylor more, I think it might benefit Serrano enough. I think that extra little bit of oomph in her punches should be enough for her to stop Katie Taylor. Only because Katie Taylor is older, so the age would start affecting her a little bit more. Of course, she doesn't have enough. She doesn't even have half the fights of Serrano, so that's also a factor, right? Let's not forget that. But I think that little bit of oomph in the punches, especially early on in the fight, because Serrano was absolutely whooping Taylor in the first half. I'm not even joking. He was whooping, right? But I think that might be enough to either get a stoppage late or prevent her from getting that comeback in the second half. I just think that's how it's going to work. But now, of course, final prediction, let's just go Serrano decision. They went decision once, they'll probably go decision against. Now, of course, the main event. Jake the Problem Child Paul will be taking on Iron Mike Tyson for whatever reason. I don't know. I guess because they technically allegedly said that it was supposed to be Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury too, but Fury denied it, which is weird because who the hell would deny a deal like this? But I don't know. Whatever. But of course, Iron Mike Tyson, everyone knows him, loves him, is 50-6, 44 wins by way of knockout, and unfortunately 5 losses by way of knockout. His last fight, he lost 6-round stoppage against Kevin McBride. Oh, not too long ago, 2005. Yeah. A little bit of time. Just a wee bit. But he actually has fought before. I think he fought Roy Jones Jr. Yeah, he fought Roy Jones Jr. back in 2020, which actually Jake Paul was on the card. But interesting fight to say the least. Just a little bit. Now, of course, Jake Paul, on the other hand, is a little bit younger than Mike Tyson. 10-1, 7 wins by way of knockout. Of course, his one loss came by split decision against Tommy Fury. Of course, after that, he kind of fought essential pro boxers. He beat Nate Diaz, and he beat Andre August and Ryan Borland for both first-round stoppage. Nate Diaz survived the entire fight. And then he fought Mike Perry, which was essentially the replacement to Mike Tyson. So they went from Iron Mike Tyson to Platinum Mike Perry. So it's whatever. So the elephant in the room is Jake Paul is 27. He is just hitting his big boy strength, and he already has been known to knock out people who have otherwise been known to have good chins. Now, of course, there's good and bad in this fight. The good is that Mike Tyson can get money. The bad is that Mike Tyson is old as hell. This isn't like, no, oh, I'm washed, 38. He already retired a washed fighter, and now he's coming back like 20 years later. Oh my god, oh my god. So okay, so the thing is, it's 8 rounds. It's not 10, it's not 12, it's 8 rounds. And not only is it 8 rounds, it's 2 minutes per round. Now, of course, there's also bigger gloves. So essentially, it's to help Mike Tyson not die in the ring. So, is there any chance of Mike Tyson winning? Of course there is. Everyone has a punching chance. Now, of course, Mike Tyson is the much more natural heavyweight, even though he's only 5'10", right? But he's fought heavyweight, right, all the time, and he has that knockout power. Like people say, power doesn't age. You've seen old George Foreman come back and win a title. Now, of course, Mike Tyson is slightly much more older at the age of 58, so maybe like 13 years older than when the great George Foreman reclaimed the title. But yeah, I mean, of course it's 2-minute rounds, so essentially incentivizes Mike Tyson to expend more energy, especially because it's 8 rounds. So it's not like, oh, I have to fight for a marathon. But at the same time, genuinely, there is really no chance of Mike Tyson winning. Now, of course, this is a professional bout, but it's with different rules. So I would assume Jake Paul isn't going to go in there and try to knock out Mike Tyson in the first round. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm just saying, they're putting like a 58-year-old man against a 27-year-old power puncher. Like, I get it. They're putting rules to try to like protect Tyson and stuff, but it's just, really? Dude, this is not a good idea. See, before boxing, there's always been a chance of grave injury, but this one is big. What? Mike Tyson's been knocked out 5 times already, and he's old now, so I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is, I wish Jake Paul wins by decision, maybe split decision. That's all I'm saying. I hope that happens. I do not want to see Mike Tyson get knocked out. No, people didn't even want to see Mike Tyson get knocked out before. Now they don't want to see a 58-year-old Mike Tyson get knocked out. But besides that, that's the end of the video. The Winners and Nunes fight, very interesting. Mario Barrios by decision, close fight. Serrano by decision, and hopefully Jake Paul by split decision. Hopefully that works. I don't know. I hope so. But besides that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.